It's an item of the forum of council as returned to the village. I'm going to go to agenda item number 1, council discussion and approval of resolution R 2015-17 authorizing the mayor to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the town of Carefree and the town of Cape Creek for the construction of bike lanes on Cape Creek Road from Carefree Highway between the roads and Burlington Drive and the way to Cape Creek Road and from Cape Creek Road to State Road Path and the sharing of costs for the project. Ian.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of Council. The Council has approved an intergovernmental agreement with the Arizona Department of Transportation to fund the construction of bike lanes through both Cape Creek and Carefree. The town has authorized the expenditure of the funds for Cape Creek's portion. What this intergovernmental agreement with the town of Carefree does is give Carefree the ability to pay the invoice that we've submitted to them so that we can make the full payment to the Arizona Department of Transportation. I'll answer any questions from the Mayor.
Questions from council on this? Councilman McGuire.
What is the approximate portion of this project? What's the approximate portion of this project that must be paid by the town of Cape Creek?
Councilman McGuire, Cape Creek's portion is about $75,000, and Carefree's is about $140,000. So the total is $215,000 as the local share of the project. The reason for that is essentially 2/3 of the project ended up being Carefree, even though Cape Creek was the sponsor of the project and is the liaison to ADOT.
Is it correct, as I understand, that of the cost to Cape Creek, approximately 94% is paid for by funds that our citizens will not need to pay?
That's correct. Councilman Lipsky, questions?
Yeah, hi. Ian, if this is approved tonight and the transfer occurs, is there a scheduled start date that we anticipate for the work to begin?
Councilman Lipsky, members of council, yes. The project, we are just finishing up the plant inventory of the medians. The project will be going out to bid, and the intent is for work to start late July, certainly after the 4th of July in the town core, so that work could be completed before the next high season.
And is it anticipated that the Cape Creek portion of it will occur before the Carefree portion of it? Or will it all happen at the
The
same
whole
time?
project will be scheduled. I'm sure they'll be working in different places. There will be 3 staging areas throughout the 2 towns to keep the work going. It's anticipated the entire project will take approximately 180 days.
Questions from council? Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, there is public comment on agenda item number 1. Marie?
I have the comment sheets.
Mr. Ringo.
Johnny Ringo, resident of Cape Creek, mayor, vice mayor, councilman, woman. We're talking about the bike lanes now. How far apart is the bike lanes from the hiking, the walking lanes, and the equestrian lanes? Is there something, a buffer, or they're going to be right next to each other? Because actually, bicyclists, school courses more than anybody else. But we're trying to work the program in Cape Creek to make the mountain bikers and the roadies aware of the horse, the equestrian problems that we might have. And it'll be a program mostly for safety and courtesy on the trails. So I just want to know how far apart a bike lane would be from a horse equestrian lane. Thank you.
Mayor, I'm happy to answer the question. We've been working on the project for 3 years. The work that will be done, they're 100% design. The intent is to alter some medians within the town to narrow them so that we have the bike lanes adjacent to the vehicular travel lanes all within the town right-of-way that we have, so no additional right-of-way is needed. The pedestrian paths are almost always on private property and easements that may be obtained. Those are non-motorized trails and paths, We are essentially working to bring to you in July some other easements. We're trying to keep the horses off the road and away from the bikes and horses. But the idea is to keep the horses separate from the bikes and vehicles.
All right, thank you. Councilman Black, question?
Our equestrians have a right to use the path that the town has put in at present, even though it goes across private property.
Councilman Black, yes, they're not motorized trails.
Okay, the public comment is still open on agenda number 1.
Cheryl Carmichael, Cave Creek resident, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. Probably this question is for you, Ian. I didn't really plan on speaking on this issue, but I do have a passion for horses and bicycles. I've had many instances where I've come very close to losing it, and with children, so I've really actually backed off all my horse activities. I'm not opposed to growth and happening. I think actually Mr. Williams, Bob Williams, I think he had a comment for the overall plan for the town and said, take out equestrian because this really isn't an equestrian town. And, you know, I was offended, but I really do think that that is becoming truth, and I feel sorry about that, and I agree with Johnny Ringo that we do have to manage both. I'm not opposed to bicyclers. I really try to work with them. I tell them thank you for helping our trails. They do an excellent job. I wish we could really come together more. But when I went to the town and tried to recommend that, I got given the paper and the email and said, here, you do it. So, well, I can't. I really think we need a passion in this town if we are going to be a Western or equestrian town. You know, not just separate bikes and horses. I don't see how you can have 3 paths. And if there is an equestrian that's on private property, something happens, who's liable? I know just riding out in the trails with people kicking me off because they don't want me to cross their driveway. I mean, it's pretty bad, and I think it's a breakdown of communication again. I've said this over and over. I've been here 12 years. If we would just get out and communicate, I'd appreciate it. So just keep that in mind. Horses and bikes. I know that's scary.
Mayor, I'm curious about what your concern would be about having the bike lane. If without the bike lane, bikes are traveling in the traffic lane. And if they're in the traffic, I mean, this is going to be, tell me if I'm wrong, but the bike lane is directly adjacent to the traffic lane. It's an extension, essentially, of the traffic lane, right? That's correct. So instead of having bikes in traffic where they're liable to be hit by a car or vice versa, they will have their own space next to the traffic lane and will have no impact or less impact, I imagine, even on equestrian travel than it has now.
I think that's true.
And I'm curious also to know why you think that that Cave Creek is becoming less and less of an equestrian town.
I'm on my horse, and I ride through town, and I ride all through these trails, and it's my experience. And it's a big difference. I have children that I rode with. But like I said, I cut down my riding because it has, you put a name on a trail. It says Cave Creek Bicycle C4. You put those plaques on trails, those people own those trails. And that was the beginning. Now, they do that because they said they were working on the trails and they had to identify the trails. No, they own the trails. There's no consideration for the equestrians. And I'm sorry, I am also working on the other side because my neighbor, Dave, or the bicycle guy, his dad lives right across the street. So it's not that I'm not trying to work with people, with bike people, but it's just not the same.
Well, I think there's a lot of passion. I have a lot of passion for the equestrian part of Cave Creek. I think there's a lot of it up here on council, and
I hope so.
I don't think you should fear bike lanes least of all.
Well, I hope that what Ian's saying, I didn't understand it real clearly, that you know, that bicycles and horses are gonna have kind of the same thoroughfare, so maybe I just didn't understand it correctly, but I do think that, you know, if walking people and horses go in one path and the bicycles go in the other path, is that what you're saying is gonna happen? And that's truly gonna happen, okay. All right, I'll remain to be seen. Thank you.
Mr. Ringo, didn't you speak already? I want to move this meeting along.
I would like to make a comment about our Western area.
That's really not before the council tonight. I want council to stay on the agenda. Does anyone else? Yes, yes.
Millhalf, Cave Creek. Okay, I'm trying to figure, like, we're up by Harold's, and the traffic lane is shut down for motorcycles to park. So is that going to include the bike lane for where would bikers, just two bikers go if the lane is shut down?
Mayor, I'd have to say that's a discussion item for a future agenda. The question before you is whether to approve the IGA between Cave Creek and Cave Creek.
Indeed it is. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up, and I promise to keep a close eye on that.
Anyone else wish to speak on the agenda item? Okay, I'm going to bring it back to council. Councilman Bosch.
I wish to speak, Mayor. Move to approve resolution R 2015-17, a resolution of the mayor and town council of the town of Cave Creek, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing the mayor to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the town of Cave Creek and the town of Carefree for the construction of a bike lane on Cave Creek Road from Carefree Highway to Pima Road, Tom Darlington Drive from Meander Way to Cave Creek Road, and Pima from Cave Creek Road to Stagecoach Pass, and the sharing of costs for the project.
Second.
Very second. Thank you, Councilman Bunch.
Details of the route and the layout were done long ago. This is just finalizing so we can pay for the thing, get started.
Councilman McGuire, would you like to second?
Councilman Bunch, are you suggesting that the federal government should be giving us money in order to complete this?
Leave me alone.
Don't go down there. Councilman Esser, anything?
All need to say that there are multiple travel ways with public safety. And I'm support.
I
found the question. My colleague, that aside, I guess I'm weird. I have horses and I have a road bike. And as far as though any kind of bike horse conflict in Cave Creek, my experience has been in park and on our trails that the off-road bike people are very courteous. They always do right away. All you have to do is whistle, make sure that, because they're watching the road. My experience is they've been great, and I don't see an issue between bikes and horses. Bikes do spook horses, though. If you're riding downtown there, I think it's cars spook horses, a lot of things. I understand that we're going to try to keep them as separate as possible, and I think that's appropriate. So I support this wholeheartedly and always have.
Okay, just two things. Ian, thank you for all your work. This is an two-year-plus project. It's been just about you and everyone involved. And the other thing I would suggest is in the weeks to come, Councilman Lipsky, you get with Ms. Carmichael there, and there probably will come a time to bring bicyclists and the husband together and talk about this project starts. Maria, I need you to call the roll if there's a financial.
Councilman Lipsky,
Yes.
Councilman McGuire,
Yes.
Vice President Lamar,
Yes.
Councilwoman Clancy. Aye. Councilman Bunch,
Yes.
Councilman Esser,
Yes.
Mayor Francis.
Yes, by a vote of 7-0, it's unanimous, and the motion carries. Thank you, Council. Agenda item number 2, council discussion on approval to amend the fiscal year 2014-15 budget by transferring appropriations by the following amounts. fund the contingency fund, upon the contingency, the amount of $55,000 to the general fund, planning and zoning department improvements in the amount of $55,500. Who's addressing this evening? Ian.
No, I'd be happy to address it. In discussions with the finance director, it seemed that you didn't anticipate the project moving ahead so quickly, it did not have enough budgeted, so this is again, a housekeeping matter to cover the.
Questions from council? There is public comment on this issue. Back to council. Councilman Bunch.
Move to amend the fiscal year 2014-2015 budget by transferring appropriations by the following amounts from the general fund contingency department, contingency, parentheses 01-013100-2949, close parentheses, in the amount of $55,500 to the general fund planning department improvements, parentheses 01-004553-4100, close parentheses, in the amount of $55,500.
Second.
Motion made in a second, Councilman Bunch.
We got where they can get to it to use it.
Councilman Esser.
You know,
Anything else from council? Financial again, quickly. Marino.
Councilman McGuire?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lamar?
Yes.
Councilman Lipsky?
yes.
Councilwoman Clancy? Yes. Councilman Bunch?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Yes.
Mayor Francia?
Yes, by a vote of 7-0, the motion clearly passes. Council agenda item number 4, council's discussion and approval of resolution R 2015-19 authorizing the mayor to approve a development agreement between the town of Cave Creek and Cave Creek, Arizona Development Group LLC, Tractor Supply, providing for a plan of development for a subdivision consisting of approximately 10 acres. Ian.
Members of council, we have seen projects, or the council has seen projects for Tractor Supply coming through to change their general plan designation, their zoning, site plan. They have also been working on an annexation of 2 acres, which the council has seen that as well. This is a development agreement which ties all the properties together and is tied to the effective date of the annexation. Essentially, it allows all the properties to be re-divided and have the requirements of the town, such as landscape undisturbed, be able to use used in the appropriate places and be able to count it as a budget for all parcels in future development. I believe it also addresses a condition that council placed on the site plan, which would have made property non-conforming with both parking, requiring less parking in favor of more landscaping. The project did meet the landscaping and undisturbed requirements. I'll answer any questions from you.
Questions from council? Anything else here?
Yes.
There's public comments on agenda item number 4.
Eileen Gray?
Eileen Wright, Cave Creek resident. Before I begin, Ian, am I correct that you're going to reduce the minimum amount of landscaping, and as that's what is stated in the development agreement?
Is right, the property will meet the minimum requirements of landscaping and undisturbed as required in the terms of the ordinance.
Is in terms of what? Excuse me?
In terms of the town zoning ordinance requirements, it will meet the minimum landscape and undisturbed.
So even though the development agreement says differently?
I'd be happy to defer to the town attorney in this case because the attorneys did a lot of work on this.
Okay, church is here. Mr. Faith.
Page 103 of 127, 4.2. Modified to report that each lot is not required to meet the minimum required landscape area plus undisturbed area ratio as set forth.
That's correct, because it's not on the property in its entirety. That's the purpose of the development agreement, is that the entire property meets the requirements, but each lot, as subsequently created under this agreement, may not meet that. So there's a budget for the entire project.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay,
It's the last sentence before two.
both it together, okay. I think I'll go ahead and speak anyway, please. I lost my 3 minutes already? Okay. To me, this agenda item is an environmental suicide and totally disregards the vision of our general plan. Why would we ever consider having a commercial development like this that is totally asphalt and totally concrete? About 3 months ago, the previous council asked the Tractor Supply Company if they would increase their vegetated open space. They agreed. This was with the project as it is now and was not a burden to the Tractor Supply Company. Then why was Councilman Ernie Bunch ashamed by a request to increase the vegetated open space of a commercial development? It was for the good of the citizens. It was for the health, safety, and welfare of this neighborhood and the town at large. The Tractor Supply Company is acres of nothing but concrete and asphalt. There's nothing alive or natural in the 1.5 acres surrounding the Tractor Supply Company. Not a tree, not a cactus, or even dirt. The heat island effect of this project as planned will be devastating to the neighborhood, and the only way to counter it is with vegetation. If it is your intent to undo everything that the prior council did that was in the best interest of the citizens, then so be it. I envision a Cave Creek in which we reflect closely on the environmental impact of everything we do and make only changes that will improve our real quality of life. If you vote yes for this development agreement, then we obviously have a different vision on our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Public comment is still open. Okay, let me bring it back to Councilman Bunch.
Move to approve resolution R 2015-19, a resolution of the mayor and town council of the town of Cave Creek, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing the mayor to approve a development agreement between the town of Cave Creek and Cave Creek AZ Development Group LLC, parentheses, Tractor Supply, providing for a plan of development for subdivision consisting of approximately 10 acres.
We need a second, Council.
Second.
What the previous town, we have minimums set forth in the ordinances in this town. Those minimums are our legal definitions for development. When the previous council, under fear of losing the approval for his project, the developer agreed to decrease his parking spaces to the detriment of his customer. We're not an HOA. We have rules and ordinances and regulations that we have to follow. And that's exactly what I was trying to do that night. This is absolutely ridiculous. I'm totally for this. I want the project to get going. I want to see it happen. It's good for the town.
Councilman, second.
Been a long night. I basically agree with development in that area. It's not high Sonoran Desert. It's commercial property. Nobody complained when we put in Walmart. It saved our life. And I hope we have additional commercial in that area. So I support Ernie's motion, and enough said, let's get it on.
Anything else from Councilman?
And will you work with the applicant in order to make this as environmentally friendly as the applicant is willing to make it?
Councilman McGuire, staff will continue to work with the applicant throughout the development process.
Councilman Leslie.
So I was, excuse me, not on council during the meeting that everyone has been talking about, but I was here that day, and the developer did say that they would, without hesitation, said that they would reduce the number of parking spaces because they said they didn't need them.
Under fear of not getting the approval.
No, I understand, but they didn't seem, I mean, it wasn't a discussion at all. They said, sure, not a problem. we already have more than we typically have. I think something along those lines. I mean, that is what they said. So I thought that was decided that night. And does this undo that? Is that what I'm hearing?
Back to the minimums that are in our ordinance.
But why would we want to do that if in fact, from what, through whatever means?
Ethics?
I don't know, he didn't hesitate. I was here that night. He didn't hesitate when he said, sure, no problem. I want to be a good guy. And we're saying he doesn't have to be a good guy because of technicalities. I would say, good, he's a good guy, let's move forward. I thought that's what was agreed to that night. And I wouldn't want to undo what happened that night for what, I mean, I understand what you're saying, Ernie. And I would be all for revisiting those minimums, and maybe they need to be adjusted for the benefit of the town. But he agreed and accepted the proposal that night. Why would we want to undo that? So if that's what we're looking at here, I didn't realize that. I would vote no.
Councilman McGuire.
Ian, if you would help me refresh my memory, of course I was here, and I was on the council at that time. I believe there was discussion, and the developer did agree to reduce parking spaces, increasing the natural or ecological area. Does tonight's resolution change that?
That's correct.
And it changes it to the developer complying to the standards, the minimum standards set by the ordinance. That's correct. He's not doing anything in violation. I believe the applicant wished to speak as kind of out of order because it's at council, so let's do it quickly.
Correct.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, David Long, Cave Creek AC Development Group LLC. With respect to the 12 parking spaces and what happened at the previous meeting, certainly we weren't forced to do anything that we didn't want to do. However, it was not in the best interest of the project to oppose. We needed to get started, we needed to get moving, and we agreed reluctantly. We reported that information back to our client, Tractor Supply. They were very upset. We need those parking spaces in order to adequately park this store and to ensure that visitors and customers to the store will have enough room in order to park their vehicles at the store. So yes, we would like to have back the 12 spaces. It is 2,400 square feet. We're not talking about a very large piece of property. The property, as you previously mentioned, meets the minimum standard of 20%. As you all know, it's probably one of the highest undisturbed ordinances in the state. So I'm here to answer any questions that I may.
Councilman McGuire.
Are you telling us that the agreement you made that night was not authorized by Tractor Supply?
The choice at the time being was to either approve it or to not. Do they have autonomy over that? No. However, they are our client. In terms of, you're asking, did they need to authorize the 12 space reduction?
And I'm asking if you were authorized to make the decision, the agreement that you made that night.
Well, I'm authorized to make that decision on behalf of property ownership. With respect to our tenant, they were very unhappy to see that reduction in the number of parking spaces.
We're past the point, sir. Is there another question down here?
Yes. As I recall, I read the terms and conditions, the stipulations that came from the planning and zoning people, and you were good enough to meet all of those. What I saw were somewhat excessive. You met all the setback requirements and did everything you were supposed to. As to the landscaping, I can't remember what you agreed to do. Can you clarify that for me?
It was a reduction in 2,400 square feet by eliminating 12 parking spaces to add to the undisturbed. And Ian, correct me if I'm wrong in my comment there, but literally it was just reducing increasing the undisturbed 2,400 square feet. We didn't have the room, so we had to eliminate 12 parking spaces, which is necessary for the tenant and their operations. You wouldn't want to limit, in my opinion, in the tenant's opinion, you wouldn't want to limit their potential to drive customers to the store if there's nowhere for them to park. So 87 spaces is what we're asking for.
Did that change have an impact on any of the environmental issues, the native habitat, or?
No, we meet all the minimum requirements, and hopefully Ian can
I
back
drove to
in.
Wickenburg to see your store there, and then I saw one of the two up in Preston, and they're very well done. It's a commercial area, and I think that this reduction is appropriate.
But my position, Ernie, is that regardless of what the minimums are, the request was made, they agreed, everyone left that night based, with that in mind, and to undo something that, the tenant is unhappy with, but the town benefits from, I think is a mistake. So I have to vote no.
It wasn't in the code.
Did you agree to it?
We agreed to it.
Okay.
I have my turn to talk now.
Yeah.
You said you didn't want me to.
I heard you say no, I want
He has the right to change his mind, the vice mayor.
Yeah, before. Look, one, we do have some of the strictest ordinances in the whole state. Two, this came as a recommendation on 6-1, having met all the requirements and all the ordinances, and all the setbacks, and all the landscaping requirements. And what I saw, and I guess it just depends on what your perspective is with respect to development along that corridor. But what I saw was one person who was the one dissenter in the planning commission, who is also a very strong supporter of a majority of 4 of the people that were on council, basically changing the rules in the middle of an open meeting, and leaving this businessman who had complied with all of our ordinances I've been here a long time and helped write them, for the very purpose that it's not exactly user-friendly for businesses coming to apply here. And that's one of the big problems we've had for a long time. So he complies with everything, and then he gets short-sheeted 10 minutes before, thinking that he's got a 6-1 vote from the planning commission and a recommendation, and he gets short-sheeted and strong-armed into giving up more parking. I don't think that's right. I don't think there's anything good about that, and I don't think 12 parking spaces benefits the town, given that he meets all the other requirements for landscaping and setbacks. That's all.
Councilman LeBlanc?
Yes, Councilman Esser, it wasn't clear to me what you were saying that you supported when you said the reduction. Do you support the original agreement that these people made with the previous council, or do you support simply they're meeting the minimum legal requirements of development?
Councilman McGuire, I support changing what was done before. It was excessive and out of line. And the vice mayor was very clear on why that happened.
I'd also add that we offered and are continuing with the horse trail from Barbie to Olson at our expense,
Vice Mayor?
which is not in the code.
Let me just comment. This applicant has been a very good applicant. They were cooperative all the whole way. 6 of the Planning and Zoning Commissioners recommended this as it's going to be done now if we vote yes on this. I believe that was an appropriate process. I don't think we should change the rules, and I believe Mr. Trank even had to admit that we were in fact changing the rules. In the last hour, in public forum, and an applicant here, in the fear of losing what he thought was a recommendation from the Planning Commission, basically has to do something that's not in the best interest of this community, because it's not in the best interest of this project, it's not in the best interest of this business. We talk about supporting local businesses. Here's a local business. Here's a local business. Not a local business, but a good local business, and a high-quality local business, and a well-done project, and people that cooperate the whole time. And they get short-sheeted in a public meeting over political issues, and this is how we treat them? I don't think that's good for this town, unless you don't want any business. And and this is the way you treat local business, then we ought to treat all the local business that way. Because we just got a little piece of paper up here that says, help local business. What's this mean? Video, what's that mean? That's this applicant. He cooperated from the beginning. I wish all the applicants were as forthright and cooperative as this applicant's been from the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to call for the vote. Again, I think there's only one question council needs to ask itself. Is this applicant in compliance with our ordinances? All the other stuff really is not germane to how you vote. The roll, please, Marie.
Councilwoman Clancy? Yes. Councilman Bunch?
Yes.
Councilman Hesser?
Yes.
Councilman McGuire?
Yes, I believe the applicant is in compliance with the ordinances.
Vice Mayor Lamar?
Yes.
Councilman Lipsky?
I'm in support of the development. I think it's wonderful that this business is coming to town. I support the business. I vote no.
Mayor Franchi?
Yes, by a vote of 6 to 1, the motion clearly passes. Thank you, Council. Town manager, you're right on here. You want to move 7 to 6 days, basically, the posting of the packets.
Mayor, Council, yes, sir. Many times, especially this last weekend, the holiday, weekend before, we can't meet that requirement. And many times, people come in on Monday and want to change what's on the agenda, and by the time they do that and post it, it's Tuesday. So for the ease of the town clerk, we'd like to move 7 days to 6 days. State law only requires 48 hours, 2 days, so it's still 3 days more than the state minimum. So it would be easier for a number of citizens for us.
Question from Council. Councilwoman Clancy.
I'm not sure I have a question, but I do have an observation. They sat out school board as long as they have. That came out on a Thursday, which we met on Tuesday. So, yes, I don't know how you do it. I mean, given all that you have to come up with and support and the data that you need done, come out 6 days or 7 days advance is quite a feat, given that we meet every 2 weeks. So, I have no problem.
Councilwoman, there's many times we don't get it out until Tuesday. This is really relieve some of the pressure in our office.
Right. I agree.
Anything else from council? I'll go to the public on this and bring it back to council. Council next.
Move to give first reading to ordinance 0215-04, ordinance to the mayor and county council of the town of Cave Creek, Maricopa County, Arizona, amending the town of Cave Creek County Code, Title III, Administration, Section 30.38, parentheses A, agenda, reducing the town council agenda posting date from 7 calendar days to 6 calendar days.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Councilman Bunch.
This frequently happens for whatever reason. It's not a tough thing for us to deal with, and certainly if you can read a packet in 7 days, you can read it in 6.
Vice Mayor Lamar, do I have a second? Okay, I think we're ready to vote on this. Town manager, the only thing I would add is,
Yes, ma'am.
Those getting things to the agenda for the staff to prepare it, and maybe an item I have to bring to council, they really do need to get them there in a timely fashion. That's just slowing this down. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes clearly have it. Thank you, Council. Move that. On to the last item of the evening, 7, council discussion approval of resolution R 2015-20, amending an adopted specific area plan, which is an SAP. You'll hear that referred to like that acronym. Of the town of Cave Creek, Arizona, by restoring certain specified property to the specific area plan designation. I asked for this to be put on the agenda for council's consideration. Anything from staff? Anything from staff? We'll go to public comment then. Marie?
Eileen Wright?
Eileen Wright, Cave Creek resident. This agenda item, if approved, creates substantial issues for the town. Your contemplated actions tonight on the SAP in order to settle a frivolous claim plunges the town deeper into legal issues and more litigation. The SAP does not rise to the level of providing for protected development right for a landowner pursuant to ARS 9-1202. In order to settle Wrangler's Roost claim, the proposed action to rescind R 2014-22 is required per Arizona Private Property Protection Act. But when you do that, the land use law is gone and the SAP goes with it. The expectation of Wrangler's Roost, as set forth in the resolution, and I quote, represented to the town that they will release the notice of claim if the town rescinds Resolution R 2014-22, thereby restoring the property to the SAP. The major problem occurs when the resolution is rescinded because the town cannot add 15 acres to an SAP that no longer exists. To rescind means to declare null and void, cancel, putting parties in the same position they would have been had there never been an SAP, as if it had never existed. It is ludicrous to talk about an amendment of the adopted SAP as set forth in agenda item number 7 and in the recommended motion submitted by staff. There is nothing to amend. The adopted SAP would be gone. It now requires that the council start over after receiving recommendation from the Planning Commission, adopt a proposed general plan, adopting a new SAP, and perhaps including the 15 acres. Resolution R 2015-20 is vague, ambiguous, incorrect, excuse me, and should not be approved as written for the reasons I've stated. The public is currently in the dark. What kind of real estate appraisals were done or submitted to establish damages for this so-called taking? What did the town excuse me, do to investigate the validity of the claim? Did the town get an appraisal? What is the claim? Where is a copy of the notice of claim letter? Is the town obligated to pay legal fees? What happened to transparency? Last but not least, where is the proposed settlement agreement? As Cave Creek residents, we are entitled to know the terms and conditions of this proposed settlement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Public comment is still open.
Cheryl Carmichael?
I noticed there's a map up there. I had asked you if you could put up the map that I received notice of. My name is Cheryl Carmichael, and I live on 5401 East Nelson Road, Cave Creek. Since Mr. Lipsky is the holder of the paper, may I give you this map? That's okay. No, it's fine. It was quick. No fault of Ian's. He's got a good map up there. But this will identify a little more Do you have a pointer or anything for this?
Can you identify
Can you identify on the map, Ian, for us, the 3 parcels we were talking about? So there's the 9.96 acres, and then the 2 other parcels that are 2+ acres. Okay?
Where are you located?
I live right where, see where Lowe's is? Down one. Right there. That's my place. Okay? Yeah, that's my place. No.
So you
I'm
just
backed
asked-
up, I'm backed up to Lowe's.
This is the 10 acres?
Correct.
This is Lowe's?
Okay, right, okay. I was looking at your dog. Okay, that's fine. No, I'm not with Carefree. I'm not happy with Carefree. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, and thank you for this opportunity to speak this evening. It's really with a heavy and very sad heart that I see this motion to approve and amend the adopted specific area plan and restoring certain specific property to the specific area designation. Specifically parcels 21147.016A, which is the 9.96 acres, 21147.043C, which is 2+ acres, and 21147.100, 2+ acres. I want to give you some background. On May 2014, the Planning and Zoning Commission was holding a meeting for final approval to send the recommendation on to the Council for the SAP. I received notice in the mail that the final approval will be beginning to discuss with the new addition of 3 parcels backing up to our neighborhood off of El Sendero, which you have the map of. I attended the Planning and Zoning meeting in May and pointed to them what I had received in the mail and referred to the map. The Planning and Zoning folks even seemed to be surprised with the sudden addition of the 3 parcels. How did this happen so quickly? It was explained that the owner of the 9.96 acres and the council person went into the planning staff with the idea to add his parcels plus 2 parcels he didn't even own for approval to move forward with recommendation to the council. And I realized this SAP had been a discussion table for 5 to 7 years. I'm not really positive on that, but I know it was a long discussion. All of a sudden, there are 3 parcels added the week before the planning and zoning meeting. I don't know. All of a sudden, there are 3 parcels backing up to a neighbor that were already traumatized by Lowe's. And if you don't believe me, I have a length of stories and pictures to show you. In addition, it would allow for a 33-foot building, allowing for hospitality use, maximum building size of 12,800 square feet. Planning and zoning recommended approving the SAP without the additional 3 parcels. The council did not take the recommendation of the planning and zoning, and they included 3 parcels. That's very fortunate, and I learned a hard lesson, and so did all my neighborhood. None of us were at that council meeting for various reasons. I had, of course, colicky. After this happened, I held a meeting at my house with 13 households, and I asked if they were aware of what had happened, and no one understood what was happening. It took 6 months of continually attending meetings and showing everyone how this is not a good plan for our neighborhood, or for the overall SAP. In November, the SAP was amended, removing the 3 parcels. And keep in mind, there were no zoning changes. Nothing changed. This was a plan. This is an idea. The way the parcels were placed in the final SAP were really questionable, in my opinion. Example, there's no application, there's no process. So just one parcel owner wants to develop and thinks it's a good idea, and voila, we have a plan. It just doesn't feel good to me. There are 2 parcels that aren't even owned by the 9.96 acres. I realize that property is going to be developed. I really request and really want you to think about taking it, leaving it as is, and letting them people develop the property from the beginning in the right manner, not by slipping in at the last minute. The problem is with this owner issue is what takes the 3 parcel owners to have the right to slip in the parcels at the last minute and push us through. I don't understand that. And why does the staff have the power to approve something like that when it impacts the town, neighborhood's well-being? Without any written request, reasoning, or anything, anybody can walk in and say, here, I want my property in this plan. And now they're threatening to sue, or the town is afraid to stand up for the people. I really feel that way. I honestly feel that you are afraid to stand up for our neighborhood and say, look, we didn't take anything away from you, and, go through the process. I would appreciate that there would be a buffer between us, because it's not going to be a pretty picture, I can tell you. I'd like to maybe put a lawsuit against them for ruining our value and our safety in our neighborhood. I can't tell you the increased traffic on El Sendero since Lowe's has gone in, and people defer to El Sendero. I feel very deflated, and I feel discouraged, and I'm up only at 3 minutes. One thing I know, when you take over a department, when I was in the corporate world, you have 6 months to make changes. I guess I can commend you on making changes, because you've changed almost every council meeting. You have changed what we have worked for, and for a year, and it's discouraging. So I am resigning as a participant in this community. I just want you to know that, and I will not be here anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Marie, do remind us.
Suzanne Dukenbach.
Good evening. I'm Suzanne Dukenbach, and I'm a resident in El Sendero, just west of Cave Creek Road. Good evening to Mayor and all council members and staff. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Perhaps you on the council have much more information in your packets, perhaps some documents that I don't know anything about. But prior to your vote on this matter, I would request that you try to find some answers for 6 questions that I would like to address to you. And maybe you can get some answers from those who are hoping that their agenda item will be passed. There are 3 different parcels. There are 3 different owners. And I wonder why they request for rescinding the earlier amendment. I wonder if the request for rescinding is coming from all 3 owners. To my knowledge, any meeting that I attended, there was only one a parcel member in attendance who spoke. The other 2 owners never sent in any written material, nor did they appear in person to voice their concerns. So how do we know what they really think? Do they share the same vision, the same plans for the future as that one property owner wishes to develop that land? Returning these 3 parcels to the SAP certainly to me seems in conflict with the goals and visions of Cave Creek. 1 parcel deed is clearly stated in the general plan. I realize there's a difference between general commercial and commercial buffer. But whatever the label for any future changes is certainly going to impact the conditions of our neighborhood. I now have some concerns after I did a little bit of research on the internet. These comments that I'm going to make are related only to that 10-acre parcel, not the 2 smaller ones. Back in November of 2014, there was a change of ownership. I've never come across a label of Wrangler's Roost. What I saw on the tax assessor's thing was Long Way LLC. And this seems to me to be a very timely move, November of 2014, because with that change came the change in classification. The new level, the new label was vacant land, nonprofit, AG.
I need you to coalesce, sum up your presentation.
Back in 2012, this parcel was mixed legal class. Full cash value, $400,092. It was described as animal boarding and breeding. But then in 2015, the charts say there's a dramatic drop.
You'll play over 3 minutes later. Does anyone else wish to speak? Sir.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Francia. My name is Tim Spence. I live at 34643 North 53rd Street. I remember when the Cave Creek Council rezoned us commercial buffer. I would like to see it go back. I'm sorry. If people don't want it, then they shouldn't have moved into Cave Creek. I'm for commercialization. I'm for the town of Cave Creek to grow. They need the tax revenue. So pass it. If the people don't want it, let it go to referendum and let the people make their decision, not the council. You're up here to take the recommendations. I say pass it, and if it goes to referendum, let it go and let the people make their decision. Because it is we the people by the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Public comment is still open on agenda item number 7. Mr. Smith.
David Smith, Cave Creek citizen, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. I failed to read the resolution. I'd like to ask staff a question about it. Does the resolution say rescind the SAP? Oh, may I ask the attorney?
It's like either, but the resolution says that it is rescinding a specific resolution by restoring 3 properties to the SAP. That's what I believe is intended. That's what I believe the historic whereas clauses say, and that's what I know the actual resolution in section 1 says. Specifically, resolution R20 2014-22 is hereby rescinded. The 3 parcels totaling approximately 15 acres, and then they are identified by assessor parcel numbers, are hereby restored to the specific area plan. I think that's unambiguous.
Okay, so if the initial reference to a resolution did not deal with the entire specific area plan, I think that that's not a significant issue. If it deals with the entire specific area plan, would that not be a major amendment to the general plan?
The mayor, members of the council, I believe the question that's being asked is totally hypothetical in the sense that it's wrong. It's incorrect in terms of what was referred to in the resolution that's being rescinded. If you adopt this resolution, you are restoring 3 parcels to the specific area plan.
I simply wanted to bring this up because one of the previous speakers had made the point that the resolution would rescind the specific area plan, and that would make a major change to the general plan. I had my say, so
I agree, Mayor, that is what Ms. Wright, I believe, said. I believe that the actual resolution that you're considering is clear. It restores 3 properties to the specific area plan. A statement that would be inconsistent with the suggestion that it eliminates the specific area plan.
thank you. I just didn't want there to be any conjecture out there that would rumble around town the way these conjectures tend to do.
Well, there will be.
Thank you.
I believe you wish to speak. I saw your hand up.
Jody Leeson, Cave Creek resident. I want to thank first Mr. Lipsky, Mr. McGuire, Mrs. Clancy, and Ian for their time coming out and taking a view of our perspective of this project. I feel strongly about it because it's close to my neighborhood. Not necessarily going to impact me directly, but it's very close. I understand development. I would love for it to be developed along Cave Creek or along the Carefree Highway. And I do believe there should be a buffer behind that as well. This exceeds the buffer, I believe. It goes too far back. It should only be 1 or 2 lots behind the general commercial, or the general commercial properties where the McDonald's and whatever else should go up there. A buffer should be behind those, I believe that. But all the way back, it should not occur. And I just wish that you would see the fight that we had on our hands in the first place to take it away. And then really, we gave no value to the property with the SAP. That's only a hope that somebody would come in and develop it and zone it commercial or general buffer, or commercial buffer, I'm sorry. And I just, that's not taking, when you gave that to him, you're not taking anything away from him. So there's should be no fear of a lawsuit. I think that's what is scaring the council, is this claim that's been filed. And that's just my opinion. But please reconsider with all the work that we've done. It wasn't about the previous council trying to set back this town. It was the previous council listening to the people of this town. Thank you.
Public comment is still open on agenda item number 7. Okay, I'm going to bring this to council. Since I brought this to council, I'll make the motion to approve resolution R 2015-20, resolution of Maynard Town Council of the Town of Cave Creek, Maricopa County, Arizona, amending and adopting a specific area plan of the Town of Cave Creek, Arizona, by restoring certain specified property to the specific area plan designation. Second. Motion has been made and seconded. Before I begin, question, Ian, explain an SAP, a specific area plan. What is it?
Mayor, members of council, specific area plan is a tool within the Arizona revised statutes allowing the town to change a land use on an area, placing conditions on it whereby you cannot do it through conditional rezoning. Early last year, maybe the year before, we had a case for the church, Carefree Highway Church, asking to rezone a property at the northwest corner of 50th Street and Carefree Highway to general commercial.
Okay, so it doesn't confer zoning, it doesn't rezone anything, but it does, a specific area plan does change land use of how, whatever area is within the SAP.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. All right, on June 16th of last year, council passed this SAP, and at the time, yes, it was a different council. At the time, no one spoke against it. And by no one, I mean no one spoke against it. Between June 16th of that year, 2014, and December, a lot of citizens, residents from that area began to speak either individually or called the public and council. So on December the 1st, 2014, the SAP for this particular area that we're talking about here tonight, council rescinded that. I believe I either voted against it along with Councilman Bunch, or I abstained, one or the other. Since that time, a notice of claim has been filed by the property owners, and I believe a notice of claim, correct me if I'm wrong, Councilor, it's a prelude to a lawsuit being filed. It can be.
Mayor, yeah, it's a necessary predicate. The party filing the notice of claim is not required to proceed with the lawsuit. But if they don't file the notice of claim, they cannot proceed with the lawsuit.
And Ian, has the owner of the property, during the time that it was still under the SAP, had they approached the town with any plans, any discussions for that property?
No, they have. They've been working on for over a year on a project proposal. There's a question brought up about when those properties came into the SAP. Several years ago, the town council directed staff, I believe it was with the currents of the white paper, to look at this area as being an amendment to the general plan. Staff brought forward a plan that was 2 parcels deep from 48th Street to 54th Street. Council at the time listened to residents in the area and asked staff to not bring forward that change. As I started to say, the church application, Carefree Highway Church, which has since built a new facility across the street in Phoenix, had an application last year to change the general plan and zoning to general commercial. I was directed by council to come up with some mechanism, knowing that conditional zoning was not available. Staff found specific area plan as a tool within the Arizona revised statutes, and worked with adjacent residents to create this plan along 1 parcel deep. Considering this property owner came to staff and wanted to do a general plan amendment. I said, I do not want to muddy the waters. I'll put it forth in the specific area plan up front. It will go to the planning commission up front, so it was never slipped in at any point. It came forward with public hearing with the planning commission. Planning commission voted to remove it. Council voted to put it back in.
My question is, if there is any rezoning, that rezoning has to come to planning and then to the council.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then subsequent
If
site.
council were to approve this tonight, it doesn't change the zoning of the property.
That's correct.
The SAP process, is something allowed by the town?
It's allowed by the town, it's allowed by the state law.
And I guess the point I'm trying to get to, although it doesn't change zoning, it does do something in terms of the property that falls under the SAP area, does it not?
Yes, it does.
I don't know what we're thinking about. Okay. I'll be brief from this point then. Council can giveth, but I don't think it can taketh away. And that's what council has done here. And in the taketh away part, it has given a designation of an SAP, which has to do with value to some extent of what can be done within that area. And then the council took that designation away. Whatever value is assigned to the concept of SAP, it now took that away. So I'm going to support this. Vice Mayor, you have a second?
Yes, and along those lines of following up, it did give, and it did take away, and as far as I'm concerned, one of the primary responsibilities I have going forward, based on the input I had from citizens in this community, is to resolve and not create more litigation for this town. And I believe by voting no rather than yes on this resolution would be, on this motion, would in fact jeopardize what we are called to do, and that is to use good reason and prudence and use our intellect to avoid putting ourselves at risk in this town and the taxpayers at risk for litigation that costs money and is taken away from services that we can otherwise provide to the citizens. And so I support the recommendation.
Councilman Esser, anything?
I like what I've heard, and there is the threat of a lawsuit, and I think we should eliminate that threat.
Councilman Bunch?
I said with apologies last time, I apologize to you, but I couldn't support taking those out, and I'm going to have to support yes voters tonight.
Councilwoman Clancy?
Well, I'm obviously very confused with a lot of this. The SAP, the way you explained it to me, is that property is going to remain exactly the way it is. Unless they come for, okay, that the SAP doesn't give them commercial. It just puts them in a potential special area plan.
There's still a specific area plan in place. The zoning, underlying zoning is Desert Rural DR 89 until the applicant presents a request to rezone. in conformance with the specific area plan before the planning commission and town council. If the town council were to approve it, it's subject to referendum. If it passes that, the applicant has to come back with a site plan meeting the conditions of the zoning.
So it does go to a referendum.
It could.
It could, probably should, depending upon what they want. So it doesn't give it a commercial designation at all. It just shows up as this could possibly have value if it were approved.
If the town council is not obligated to approve any request to rezone.
Right.
If you don't like the project that's being proposed, you do not have to accept it.
And the easements on it, I mean, has all of that been discussed with regards to a special area plan, much like the tractor folks that came here? Are there designations to that to buffer considerably neighbors who have non-commercial?
I share the concerns for buffering the neighboring property to the north. And would hope to work with any applicant coming forward to do so, to take that into consideration. Using the town zoning ordinance tools, landscape undisturbed, even rezoning to open space.
Right. And since I don't know them extremely well, how much of a buffer do you put between a commercial use to the homes that surround there? Is that 300 feet, 500 feet?
I would say over 200 feet, probably
200,
220 feet.
250 that we use along Carefree Highway?
More adjacent to the properties to the north is where I've directed the applicant to consider doing that.
So they're already considering something they want to bring forward.
They had an application that they were discussing, and in those discussions, I have demonstrated the concern for the areas to the north and applying the town zoning ordinance to buffer that area.
I'm gonna have to vote no simply because, or abstain. I just don't have enough information. I don't have enough for me to make a good qualified decision at this point. This is very new to me. So I'm going to abstain from this vote.
Councilman McGuire?
I was on the previous council, as most of the people here probably know. This has really been a mess. It has not been handled well. And I'm by the council, I have no criticism of staff. I think that the councils on which I was a part did not handle this properly. Were notifications sent to the neighbors? What were the criteria used to send notifications to the neighbors of the redesignation through the SAP?
Councilman McGuire, members of council, early last year, the notification requirements for the general plan were increased to half a mile from any affected property. Staff sent out about 740 letters, not in utility bills, but directly to addresses that were available on the Maricopa County Assessor's website. That's what we have to go by. We received probably over 100 letters back of the 740. But everybody within half a mile, either direction, south, northwest, east, received notification, as was presented to you of the map of the specific area plan.
Yeah, I remember that vote, and I want to show respect, thanks to the mayor. I think that the mayor handled this very well in the first place in his vote in not exposing the town to a taking. And frankly, I made the wrong vote myself, but at this point, I'm going to vote to support this in large measure because I do not want the town to be exposed to a lawsuit.
Councilman West?
Having seen the parcels in question, it's pretty clear that they should never have been put in the SAP. To me, clear to me. I mean, given the rural nature of Cave Creek and what we all purport to believe in keeping the town a rural community, a basically rural community, I think the Carefree Highway, the SAP as it was originally proposed is a great idea. I think including these parcels was a terrible idea. I don't know, somebody asked, whether the other property owners have even been involved in any of this. Have they, Ian, or has it just been the one property owner?
Councilman Lipsky, the properties were included in the original SAP as presented to the planning commission that was discussed. So those property owners, Mr. Spence was at that meeting.
What property owner and I spoke on it.
Okay.
Anybody else?
No, not that one.
I'm on 2.5 acres on 53rd Street, just south of the 9.686 acres on Tim Spence. I live at 34643. I'm just northwest corner of where the McDonald's was supposed to be going. So I've always been for the rezoning of that acre south of Satnam Way, all the way to 48th Street. So anything other than that, no. But it is what it is. Like I said, put it to the vote, put it to the people. Let it go to referendum. Let the people make the decision.
Councilman Lipsky, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just have a question then, Ian, for you. Is it a misunderstanding by the folks that have been speaking that these parcels were added at a certain time?
Councilman Lipsky, these parcels were included in the original SAP as presented to the planning commission and council.
And was there a period of time that they were excluded and then included again?
The planning commission made a recommendation to remove those 3 parcels totaling 15 acres. It came forward to the council. The council approved what the planning commission had voted on, I believe, and then reconsidered their vote to add them back in.
So they were taken out and then they were added back in?
No. Yes, they were taken out.
Planning commission recommended to take them out. The council voted to keep them in, ultimately.
But they were not in original SAP
They were
plan.
originally in the plan.
No, they were not in the whole plan.
Councilman Lipsky, you have the floor to please hear some of the vote.
They were not.
Okay. I don't think that it's our primary purpose to avoid lawsuits. I think it's a good idea to avoid lawsuits where possible and where it makes sense. I'm a little bit uneasy with the fact that, or maybe I should ask council, has any assessment been made about the viability of their threat to the city?
I can't talk about,
We can't?
we cannot talk about executive session, that would be illegal. So if you're asking, what, are you asking council us, or are you asking our council here? Were you addressing us?
No, I was addressing council. I don't remember hearing about any assessment made about a lawsuit. Was there discussion?
I'm not going to talk about it.
Okay.
Mayor, Councilman Lipsky. Arizona a few years ago adopted what is called Proposition 207. Under Proposition 207, if there is any, and this is a defined term, land use regulation that results in the diminishment of value of property, then the party who is suffering the diminution in value may bring a Prop 207 claim. The notice of claim in this case asserts that the actions to remove this property from the SAP is a land use regulation. We have examined that question, and there is certainly an argument under Prop 207 that it would constitute a land use regulation. The next question then becomes, is there a diminution in value that results from the land use regulation? Your legal staff has done no investigation of that question.
Okay, well, that was my question. Thank you. I'm uneasy with the town running as fast as it can away from something that it doesn't understand. Pardon?
I said some of us do.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just speaking for myself.
I know that.
In any case, I'm gonna have to vote yes.
Marie, the roll please, call the roll.
Vice Mayor Lamar,
Yes.
Councilwoman Clancy,
Now that there's greater clarity and my, better understanding of referendum and so on and so forth, I'm going to vote yes on this as well.
Councilman McGuire,
Yes.
Councilman Bunch,
Yes.
Councilman Messer,
Yes.
Councilman Lipsky,
Yes.
Mayor Francie.
Yes, by a vote of 7-0, that is unanimous. The motion clearly passes. Thank you, Council. Council's next meeting will be June the 15th. Motion to adjourn, Council.
So moved.
Thank you, Council.
No discussion.